Hi guys, it's another rainy, dull day here at home. Not too long ago, we finished having a one-on-one video chat with my son's teacher. And while he was not as cooperative as he would have been had he physically been in class today, he was certainly better than he had been for his speech therapist. His teacher was surprised at how far he'd come with speaking, and I had taken a Facebook Live video of him actually saying his alphabet and counting up to 15, which any other time I would try to get him to do it on camera, his little radar went up and he just wouldn't do it. Typical kid, right? This week's been pretty challenging, and pretty stressful. As a single parent, I'm really wondering how I'm going to be able to get the services we need in the house, like the phone, and of course the internet, because we want to go to Roku for TV, and the phone, the landline, so that my grandmother's not dependent on, excuse that little bit of indigestion, my cell phone to make and receive phone calls. So, I'm probably going to end up having to take, like, at least one other client, assuming I get the one I'm supposed to be getting tomorrow, assuming that they like me and approve me to go work there starting next week. Which, at this point, I'm hoping they will. It would be about 22 and a half hours a week. The weekends that the weeks that I don't wind up working Saturdays in Berlin. Those weeks it would put me at closer to 30 hours. I think it would be like 27 and a half hours. Which, I mean, right now, I'm desperate for. But anyway, his teacher and I were talking, my son's teacher and I were talking today, and she said something to me that it's always kind of floated in the back of my mind till now. She said to me, if someone had told me last year that he would be talking this much now, she said, I don't think it would have been I don't think I would have thought it possible. She said, to tell you the truth, I wondered if we'd ever get him to talk. And I'm not gonna lie, I was fighting back tears, and I told her, I said, yeah, I've been there. I've wondered many, many, many times if we were ever going to get this kid to where he wasn't completely dependent on sign language to communicate. And believe me, that's been my fear for a long time. Once Logan lost his words, right around 18 months or so, which, I mean, up until that point, he had been saying all sorts of things. And then it was like a switch flipped overnight, and bam, it was gone. Once that happened, and I mean, we struggled to get him to speak. Nan and I struggled so hard to get even the simplest words back. It hurt so much to not hear him babble mama anymore. It hurt to not hear him say mum, 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 and nan, nan, nan. The loss of those simple words. And at the time he had been saying cat, and Lord, it's been so long I honestly forget what all he was saying at the time. But the loss of those words cut more than I could ever explain. And it's only been within the last, I want to say maybe 3 or 4 months, he started saying mom again. Now he goes mum, mum, nan, he goes nana. He started saying mommy. Every once in a while you can get him to say mommy or mama. And of course, you know, at this point in the game, he is, as I've said many times, going through a language and a vocabulary explosion. He's now saying things like, ladies and gentlemen, please welcome. He got that off of a Paw Patrol episode. He's saying coal tender. Excuse that horrible allergy cough. He is saying James. He is saying James plainly. He used to call him, anytime he wanted to communicate, he was talking about James, he would just sign red. And then train for red train, and you knew he meant James. But he is saying James plainly now. He's just started saying silver and pink, and a lot of that's because of Paw Patrol and Thomas and Friends. So, thank you, Thomas and Friends, for helping my son regain his words. You see, it's not just his human therapists and teachers that have helped him. As I've said any number of times, he adores Thomas and Friends. He has been in love with Thomas the Tank Engine since he was maybe 4 months old. The first time he ever saw Thomas in the Magic Railroad. And now, he's able to look at me and say, Hero Black. Because Hero is the black Japanese engine. And until you have lived with a child who has lost his words or never had any, you can't possibly describe or explain the amount of emotion that goes through a parent of a nonverbal child when they start talking to you about the things they love. And in his case, right now, it is Thomas and Paw Patrol. Those are his, as they call them, special interests. That's what really he loves. And he looked at me last night and he said, Spencer Silver. Today he's been able to say James Red Engine, Hero Black Engine, Spencer Silver Engine, Sky Pink Princess, because of the Paw Patrol episode where Sky is in a pink princess costume for Halloween. He's running around saying Rubble Yellow, Rubble Double, for Rubble on the double. Chase Blue, Police Car, Chase Case, 4 chases on the case. He's counting to 15. He's saying his ABCs with only maybe 3 letters that he has a really hard time getting out. And this is the greatest Mother's Day gift I could have ever gotten. Because I worried about him. And I prayed every night for something to just click in his little mind. And he would be able to speak to me again. Because he has the most beautiful voice. And I hate it that I wasn't getting to hear it anymore. Sorry, I don't mean to cry. It's just been a very emotional day. A very emotional week. And I'm not sure what the rest of the week is going to entail. I'm really not. You know, with all of the frightening things that we see on social media and the news and everything else. This is one of the most positive things I've ever experienced, because I've lived with this little boy. I know how he has struggled to regain speech. He has struggled so hard. to do the one thing that so many of us on this planet take for granted, and that is to speak and to communicate and to be understood. He has a bad habit of running some of his words together. In general, you can pretty well tell what he's telling you the first time around. He speaks pretty clearly. I love my son. And he has just given me the most perfect Mother's Day gift. Nan insisted on getting me something for Mother's Day from him, and wound up finding a cheap little Star Wars shirt at Walmart. But as much as I love Star Wars, no greater gift have I been given than the fact that my own little Jedi Knight, who is downstairs having fallen asleep during Blue Mountain Mystery, is talking. He's not quite at the level of speech most kids his age are at. When he had a behavioral consultant, which he was discharged from that in February, she told me that at the time he was mentally at about a 2-year-old's level. And I remember how much that hurt. And I was devastated to hear that my precious, almost 4-year-old child was developmentally almost 2 years behind. And that is something that does tend to go with autism. But, I mean, it felt like a blow. I'm not gonna lie, it felt like a huge knife to the heart. And here he is, making gains every day. Every day. We're trying to get him set up with an occupational therapist. He really should have been evaluated for this ages ago. I didn't think we'd be nearly at the end of the school year and just now getting him evaluated, but such is life. He is, he's amazing. He has a cast now because he cracked his elbow off the footstool. We were getting it set up last Tuesday to trim his hair, and he climbed up on the banister and jumped off, and on the way down he cracked his elbow on the stool, fractured his elbow, so now he's got a cast. Hasn't slowed him down any. He still tries to climb that banister, and thank God, because of the way his arm is in the cast, he can't do it. So if any of you know a boy mom, neurotypical or not, please check in on boy moms, because we are not okay. Our sons are trying to prove that they are professional stuntmen and winding up giving their mothers heart attacks, heart palpitations, and potentially psychotic breaks, because they're just constantly on the go and trying to be daredevils. I know when I took Logan to the ER last week, I thought I was going to die, because, you know, what if he'd broken something? Thankfully, we were able to get him into the orthopedic doctor last week, and this guy's amazing with kids on the spectrum, with kids of special needs, period. And on the 19th, we go in again to get another x-ray to see if the fracture has healed, and I am praying for an absolute miracle that it will be healed and he can get that cast off. Heck, I even went out and ordered him a fancy schmancy set of Bluetooth headphones with Lightning McQueen on them, so we can connect them to the phone wirelessly, and he can lay there and watch YouTube and not have to worry about the sound of the saw cutting into the cast, if it comes to that. So, yeah. That's how things have been going here. Well, I really want to wish you all a happy Mother's Day week. Stay safe. Use common sense. Follow safe practices. Hug your children and love them. And even though you're not a superhero, it doesn't take much to be a superhero in the eyes of your kiddo. So, yeah. You rock, Supermom. You rock, Wonder Dad. Whoever you may be. You are amazing. You are everything your kids need, even if you don't feel like it. Take it from somebody who battles self-doubt all the time. At the end of the day, your kid loves you for exactly who you are. Hey.